Well, Jack, welcome back to the United Kingdom. What a start to the 2012 race season for you. 2 wins, 2 seconds. I think it was 4 fastest laps, 3 poles. It makes impressive reading.
Yeah, no, it was a great couple of weeks, and it was a great couple of months really, because I was out there for quite a while before. The preparation was really good, and then to have got the results to go with it, just brilliant feeling to come back off the back of such a strong start to the season.
Well, there's quite a lot to talk about. The fact that a Brit like you, and you're only really still fresh out of karting. You did Renault UK last year, but that was your first proper season in cars, and now you're over in America in the vortex of the road to Indy, as it were. So tell us how that came about after the Renault UK season. How did it come about that you're in Star Mazda now?
Well, it was a decision which myself and my manager Chris, we looked into all of the options for this year, and not just for this year, but sort of like the future potential of hopefully making a career out of motorsport. And after the season in Renault, well, to be honest, during the season in Renault, it became apparent that the US was the place we wanted to be. I love the structure and the program. The Road to Indy program it gives drivers an opportunity which they would never get perhaps in Europe, and that was the main reason we decided to go over there. And it's a lot of work to get it all to come together to be able to go to do it, and a lot of commitment on everybody's part, and it came together really well.
Well, congratulations on putting that together. Just to go a little bit deeper into those thoughts. In reality, I guess what you're saying is that there's quite a clear path in the United States now for a young driver like yourself. But if you stay in Europe, it's a lot more complex. A lot more choices have to be made. And I guess at whatever level, it's probably more expensive lap for lap than racing in the States. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, I mean, in Europe at the minute, the budgets are higher. They don't have the sort of prizes which they perhaps have in the US. It seems like in the US, everything's, you dialed down into 4 categories really at the moment. You've got US F2000, the starting point. You've got Star Mazda, the step up, then Indy Lights, and then obviously you've got the pinnacle, which is IndyCar. Whilst Europe at the minute, it's a little bit all over the place in my opinion. It's all a bit mixed up. You've got a few categories which perhaps shouldn't be there, and taking drivers away from other series and whatnot. It's very difficult as a driver to know where to go, and also with the budgets being high, it's very difficult to make any progress. And I think that's really what they've got nailed in the States at the minute, and hopefully it's going to, it's proved this year to be even bigger than the previous years. We've got European drivers like myself going over there. You've got South Americans. You've got the American guys. It's proving to be a real success at the minute.
Jack, you're obviously a very talented driver. You excelled in karts. You won races last year in Renault UK, and now you've hit the ground running in Star Mazda. I don't want to labour the point, but it is unusual for a young Englishman like yourself not to be saying, I've got to be in Formula One at all costs. That is the goal. That is the only thing that I want to do, which is, of course, what a lot of your contemporaries would be thinking. But I get the feeling from you that, if it ends up that you're racing in America with a very good team and doing well there, you'd be reasonably happy with that, or very happy with that.
Oh, I'd love it. Not many people get the opportunity to do what anybody, any of us do in racing. Even to be racing in the junior formula is just a huge opportunity, which 99.5% of people in this world never get the opportunity to do. So it's a great thing to do. And like you say, I mean, whether it be IndyCar, whether it be World Rally, whether it be Formula One, any opportunity to drive at the pinnacle would be just unbelievable. So I see IndyCar in my eyes as in level terms to Formula One. I'd love to race in IndyCar. There's some great drivers in there, and yeah, I mean, any opportunity I'd get to race in IndyCar, especially in a competitive ride, that'd be my dream really.
Well, very refreshing to hear that, and so let's hear a little bit more about your Star Mazda season so far. Whilst some of your contemporaries are racing at places like Rockingham or Alton Park or Donington, not that there's anything wrong with those, you go to the streets of St. Petersburg and you win there in a very impressive little race car as well. Tell us about that and that street racing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the street racing. Is probably one of the biggest things about the American racing, which I've really fallen in love with, to be honest, because obviously it's something which you can't do in the UK. They don't have a street race around Birmingham or Leeds, unfortunately. But in America, it's something completely new. You know, I mean, the atmosphere for one's fantastic. You know, I think the big thing is we're taking the racing to the people rather than the people have to come to the racing. You know, IndyCar, they take the races to the city, and the entire city gets involved. You know, and there's a huge atmosphere. You can really feel it. You know, it feels like that race weekend feeling. And to drive as well as a driver, it's so much more of a challenge. You know, you go to somewhere like Silverstone, you can make mistake after mistake, and you can just drive off the road at cops, and you know, get away with it. You go to St. Petersburg, first race of the year, and you can't afford in first practice to go over the limit. You can't afford to push the limit too hard, because if you drop one wheel, you're in the wall and you lose all the time. You know, the short amount of time you have to learn the circuit and prepare the car. And as a driver, it's a lot of strategy, a lot of patience, and building yourself up to eventually get to the point when it matters in qualifying that, you know, you can get to the point where you're just, you know, touching these walls, you know, just not touching them, but, you know, just rubbing them. And it's really difficult as a driver. It brings a new element into it.
How would you relate the Star Mazda car to anything that we know in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really compare it to is the Renault car I raced last year, but it's a little bit. It's very exciting to drive. I mean, the Renault UK car last year was, you know, very electronic. You had a lot of gizmos like the flappy paddle and the automatic blipping on the downshifts and stuff like that. And you know, it's fun at first, but you know, after a while the novelty wears off, and you know, it becomes a little bit like a PlayStation game, I guess. You know, the Star Mazda car's a little bit more raw. You know, got a sequential 6-speed gearbox. You know, you happen to blip on the downshift. The car's a little bit more of a handful. You know, it moves around a little bit more. So I mean, I really enjoy it. You know, it gives me a bit more of a challenge. It's a lot of fun to drive. It feels like a racing machine. You know, it's louder, it's spitting flames out the back. It's everything that you want from a racing car again.
Excellent. And I guess it's a given now. I mean, I barely need to ask the question, but I will anyway. I guess you're actually looking forward to the ovals, right? You've got quite a lot of ovals on your calendar.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it. I mean, it's a new experience. You know, that's the thing with this championship. You know, you can be strong on the street courses, you can be strong on the ovals. Like, you know, you could be weak on one of them. You know, people are going to be strong in different aspects of the championship, and that's what makes it so exciting. And like the ovals, I've heard a lot about it. You know, at first when I came over here, I didn't really know anything about it. You know, just turning left, it doesn't look that difficult. But then, you know, when you start to hear about the stories and the techniques and, you know, what it takes to be a good oval race, suddenly you realise that there's a lot more to it than you think, and it's going to be a really interesting couple of weeks, especially the race the night before the Indy 500. That's going to be a really exciting thing to be part of.
Well, yeah, and again, you can integrate not only with the fans, but I guess with the IndyCar crowd in a way perhaps that, say, the GP3 drivers cannot integrate with the Formula One drivers. It's like they're in a different world, even though they're part of the Grand Prix race card. But in your case, I guess you'll be at the Indy 500 on race day, and you'll be mixing with some of the guys there in the teams. Oh
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like, we can pretty much. I mean, even at the races we've been to so far, you know, you're rubbing shoulders with you know, people like Will Power and, you know, Rubens Barrichello. You know, you literally can stand next to them in pit lane whilst they're about to, you know, go out for their qualifying. It's pretty amazing, you know. Like Formula One is so restricted at the minute. You'd be lucky if you could, you know, you could get within 100 feet of someone like Fernando Alonso. But in IndyCar, yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things. It's so accessible to the fans as well. You know, they can get really close up with their heroes, and you know, for me as a sort of a junior driver, I can get really close up to, you know, these guys who, you know, we aspire to be like, and we aspire to, you know, to be better than, and to learn, to be able to see the way they work so close up is a real advantage. It's you know, great to be part of.
Jack, where are you based in the United States, and how much travelling are you going to do across the Atlantic? How often are you going to come back to the United Kingdom in the course of the year? I
mean, based in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I moved out there. I think it was the 24th of January this year, and I spent all the time leading up to the first two races in St. Pete's, and, you know, following the team around, testing, etc. And then managed to go a bit of a gap now before the oval racing, so come home for a couple of weeks, see everybody, and then pretty much back out there for the Indy race. And I think we're there for about 4 or 5 months after that. So it's quite spending a lot of time in the States, you know, and I really enjoy it out there. So it's you know, living in Florida is not a bad thing.
I can imagine. It looks like it's a bit of a motor racing enclave there. I think there's a few of the other young guys. Matt Brabham, I think, is relatively near there. I know Nigel Mansell has a place not too far away. And so you like the American way of life, is what you're saying. You don't find it too difficult.
Yeah, yeah, it's you know, I can't complain. I'm from Bradford in England, so it's pretty chilly up here. So to have gone to Florida in January and been able to have pretty much missed the entire winter, so it's been really, really good fun.
Jack, you also won at Barber Motorsports Park. It looked great on television. Heard a lot about that circuit. Lovely museum there, I think, as well. Tell us about that circuit and that race. Yeah,
it's a really good circuit actually. It's a little bit like I guess I could describe it somewhere like Alton Park. You know, there's a lot of elevation change. There's not much room for mistake. You know, if you put a wheel off, you know, you're generally there's a good chance you're gonna end up in the wall. But it's an exciting circuit, and the race itself was really interesting. It's quite a difficult circuit to pass on. The circuit's very abrasive as well, so tyre management's really important around there. You know, even in the Star Mazda cars, and it made for quite a tactical race, quite a tactical weekend, but a lot of good fun.
Jack, great talking to you. You're on the road to Indy, and you're definitely on the road to Indy. I mean, you're really making your mark at a very early stage of the year. Keep it up. Brilliant opening a few races, and we're going to hear a lot more from you, I'm sure, and we'd love to keep in touch as well. So thanks for spending time with us.
No, definitely. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Cheers, mate.